work. Hi, how's it going? Let's see if I can make this work. Morning. So many. Yeah, I don't know how many we'll have in person. I know Troy's here. Speak of the devil. I want to see if this puts the camera. God dang it. I don't know how to do it where the camera goes to you guys. Hello. Yes. Miss Kim says hi. She was here this weekend. We got to see her. How can I do this? I wonder. What if I do it? What if I take that off? I don't think this is going to make any difference, to be honest. Hi. God dang it. How do I... I don't know how to do anything.
Good to see you too. Welcome back. Is it working for you right now?
There we go. All right, that's what I want. So that everybody can see you guys. Is it weird being back? You were? I wonder if that's kind of the case with a few people. Miss Sale next door said that she didn't have many kids at all, either on Zoom or in person. Oh, we got 2 minutes. God dang it, that poster. The one nearly right above you. It's got like a folded thing. And I just put it back up. I don't know what's the best thing to have posters stay hanging up. It's really frustrating. Lick it. It's a crazy thing to say. Piece of garbage. Why they lick their thumb? What?
Why lick their thumb?
Oh, I think just to create some friction on the page. I agree. It's really nasty. My 9th grade English teacher had this little like thing of some kind of pink putty or something that she would do instead of licking your fingers. So I guess there are things to use instead. Hey guys.
The Chiefs defense got rocked.
What now?
Well, the Super Bowl.
Oh. I cannot say I watched it. Although I did look up some of the commercials.
They had better commercials this year than in years past, in my opinion.
They had better commercials?
Yeah.
Okay. I looked up the one where Timothy Chalamet was Edward Scissorhands because I love Timothy Chalamet and I love Edward Scissorhands. And I saw the Matthew McConaughey Doritos 3D one. That might be all I saw though. Brendan in person.
I really enjoyed Drake from State Farm. I thought that one was really funny.
Oh, I'll have to look that up.
Wait, there's a Drake from State Farm?
Yeah, it's a Super Bowl commercial. It's Drake, but he's Jake from State Farm.
Dang, I guess I missed that one.
Clever. Very clever. Let's see. We don't have Hayward or Eli. Were they in your last class?
No.
No. We'll mark them absent. If they show up, we'll change it. Okay, so I feel like we actually have kind of a lot of stuff to get through today. And like, I hope we get to reading. That's one of the things. But the first thing is reiterating something that I hope you've already heard today, which is our new high school success policy. Did Miss Petty talk to y'all about this? Okay. Well, we all have to go over it. So you're going to hear it a lot of times today.
Okay. Never mind. I already signed the thing and I just don't, I read it carefully. I don't want to hear about it anymore.
I agree with you, and I totally understand. It's just a thing where like we all agreed that we had to do it. So just so that everybody gets it. For instance, I think we have maybe one of you who are not in Miss Petty's first period class, so you will not have heard it. I'm not going to read it like word for word. I'm just going to kind of run you through it, even though I wrote the letter myself, so I feel like I have some ownership over it. But basically, the whole deal is that high school has not been doing well with turning work in. I don't have to tell y'all, you know that. You at least know how you're doing. And I don't know if anybody has turned in every assignment all year, probably not. But overall, it's a big problem and much bigger in high school than in middle school for some reason. So what we're doing is, well, honestly, probably, hey, Mike. I mean, sound is not coming through it, which is the constant issue. Yeah.
Did you check the difference?
I did not. I forgot about that, but I will during my next class.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So at any rate, I'll check this chat in just a minute. What we're trying to do is implement some strategies and policies to get you guys on a better track. And so we developed a high school wide late policy. All high school classes, all academic high school classes. I don't know how your music classes are doing it, but yeah, for your academic classes. Oh, look, Hayward's coming. We'll get him back on here in just a minute. We'll fix his. I have no idea when report cards come out. They don't tell us anymore. So this is actually like a little bit more lenient than my normal late work policy, a little bit. So each assignment is going to have a designated due date. Like I might assign you something today that's due Friday. If you turn it in Monday, however many points you would have gotten is going to be deducted by 10%. Turn it in Tuesday, 20%. So on and so forth. A week after that, you can get 50%. And then after that, don't bother turning it in. If you have extenuating circumstances that are preventing you from submitting assignments before the final day that it's due, or the final day that you can submit it, you need to let us know about that ahead of time. Extenuating circumstances would be like I had to go visit my grandmother in the hospital. It wouldn't be like I had to go watch my brother's soccer game. And it wouldn't be like I was too tired. To be honest with you, I'm too tired to do this every day, but here I am. So the other part of this is that in an effort to support students who are struggling in their courses, Wednesday classes are going to serve as high school success sessions, which is really fun to say 10 times fast. I wanted to go with student success sessions, but I was overruled. On Wednesdays during the normal class time. So what that means is you will log into Zoom, we'll take attendance, and then probably what will happen is that I'll let everybody else go unless you need to stay for a success session. and you know that you have to stay for success session if your grade is below a 60, if you are missing 3 or more assignments, or if for some other reason I say that you have not been meeting the core standards. That's kind of up to teacher discretion. I'm trying to think of instances where you would need that, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. So that being said, make sure that you're turning stuff in. You don't let your grade get below a 60. One of the things that might be like teacher deems that the core standards have not been met. If you have like a 65 or, you know, maybe like between a 60 and a 70, and I just feel like you need that extra push. So if you have to attend a success session, you're going to get an email, your parent's going to get an email before that Wednesday. And if you have to come to one of these, then you definitely need to show up, because if you don't, then we'll have to contact your parents, and then you'll have to start doing weekly check-ins with Miss Kokol, and it's just a big hoopla that you can avoid by doing your work. The point of this is not to like punish anyone or have harsher late work policies. It's to encourage your success. We're really doing this because we want for you guys to succeed as much as possible. We want to give you opportunities to improve your grades, but you do have to kind of meet us halfway there. I kind of talked about that extenuating circumstances stuff. So you have to go fill out the Google form that you would have received in the newsletter, and that's it. Any questions about that? Any questions? Okay, well, while I'm here, I know I reminded you of this the other day, but your senior capstone projects are due on the 25th. And I wasn't really worried about that, but then Miss Darling and I were talking yesterday, and she was like, I'm pretty sure this student and this student and this student are not going to submit anything for their senior project for their capstone. Let me just reiterate, sorry, I need to do this. If you do not submit a senior capstone project, you do not get to walk at graduation. That doesn't mean you don't graduate, but you don't get to participate in the event, which sucks, especially because I plan graduation. I put a lot of work into it. So please do your senior capstone project. And it's better, genuinely, it's better if you turn in something that's kind of, that's kind of half-assed than to not turn in anything. Because if you turn in something, maybe it's not amazing, but you could still walk at graduation. You don't want to be the one kid who can't walk at graduation. That would suck. Any questions about that? Okay. Let me look at my list. We did that. Oh, yeah, this is just, this is more for my benefit than for yours. Since Wednesdays are going to be, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question about, so what class does the grading on capstone assignments apply to?
It's a great question that I should know the answer to. But I don't. And
okay. I mean, I understand like the playing test would apply to whatever, you know, instrument you are in.
Right. And I'm not sure that the overall thing gets graded, but there are things that rest on it, you know, like being able to walk at graduation. If we had a senior trip, you would not be able to go if you didn't do very well on your capstone project. And for the record, even though we can't have a senior trip like overnight somewhere, that doesn't mean we're not going to do anything. And I can't answer more questions about that right now because I don't really know what we would do, but Mr. Nykirk and I have talked about some things that would be possibilities for you guys. The things that make it difficult are like obviously being able to go overnight somewhere where you guys would be sharing rooms, traveling in a big van or bus together. That's definitely not okay. So a lot of things, unfortunately, are not able to happen, but that doesn't mean that we won't do anything. That doesn't mean that we're not going to do something fun, because both Mr. Nykirk and I really want to make sure that you guys have something fun to participate in at the end of the year. and more than like you know, a field day or something. That doesn't count. Oh, what? You know, this fictional field day that we're talking about, sure, maybe I'd have a gigantic Ferris wheel. Sorry. I forgot what I was talking about. The Wednesday thing, since we're using that as a success session day, and I won't keep you guys here the whole time. Wednesdays are going to start looking a little bit different. I'll talk to you tomorrow about what this Wednesday will look like, but I'm going to try to kind of come up with more of like a weekly schedule, like you know, on Mondays and Thursdays we read, on Tuesdays we do such and such, on one day we do like a discussion post or IXL or something like that. And I don't have that worked out because we just came up with the success session thing. It's hard to say, on Friday, so I haven't had time to really like work through that. But in other classes I have done sort of a weekly schedule and it works really well. What are y'all saying that we're gonna do? Oh, just put our mask on. Unfortunately not. That would still count as close contact. That's true. Also, for the record, I think some people don't realize this. If you have had COVID, you can still get it again. I've heard several people be like, oh, I already had it, so I'm fine. No, like you can still get it. The vaccine is really the only thing that is going to help people not get it. Did y'all just see that zoom in? How did I do that?
The only time I've heard about people getting it again was like very unusual circumstances. And it was pretty limited.
I mean, but you can get it again.
I ain't gonna lie. I thought Brendan was Corey. Thought he had sit down.
How did I do this? I'm so sorry. I'm like really distracted by the fact that I zoomed in on the camera and I don't know how I did it. I didn't even think I could do that.
I thought Brendan was Corey. I said, Corey.
Oh, heavens. Hang on. I know what I can do. Well, not how I did it before, but there we go. Look, there's everybody. There's my hand, you know, I'm actually here. Okay. So the assignment that we're going to have today has nothing to do with Frankenstein, and it's super easy and it'll take you 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes to do it and then we'll read. So if you look at that, I zoomed in on everything. I don't know how I did that. It's so strange. But also I posted the success session strategy policy thing in the announcement section.
Do we have to sign it for every class?
No, you just have to sign it once. Am I in the correct class? No, I'm not. My head is just not on straight today. I left my ID and keys at home. My classroom keys, not my car keys. That would be crazy. And then I left my phone in the car, and then I couldn't like go out and get it. And then my brain is disorganized today. It's wild. Okay, this week's module. This is just a sweet little thing we're gonna do. As you may or may not know, last week was National School Counselor Appreciation Week. We decided to extend it just a bit into this week and recognize our great school counselors when the students are here so that they can join us in this. Please submit a note of appreciation for Ms. Cokel and or Ms. Fickling to let them know how special they are to us. Even just a few sentences is fine, but we should show these ladies how much our students appreciate their hard work. So that's what we're going to spend like 5 to 10 minutes doing it. You guys who are here, if you prefer to write a handwritten note, I have little Lego note cards. But this is just a thing that all the English teachers agreed to spend a few minutes doing today. So I'm going to give you guys like 10-ish minutes and just go ahead and submit something. You can either do it like in text entry, or you can upload a doc. But just a few, like a nice little thing for Kogel and or Fickling. You can do one for both if you want. You can do just one for Miss Kogel if you feel like you know her better. But I'm just gonna give y'all a few minutes to work on this. It's 9:25 now. Let's give it until 9:35. You think that's enough time to write a note? I think it's enough time. All right. Yeah.
It's zooming again.
I know. I'm doing it now.
Oh, okay.
What are you gonna say, Ian? Submit them to me, and I'm gonna print them later. Well, what's this though? It's like focus. Can I unfocus? I don't think that does anything. Huh. That does nothing. Ask BJ what shoes those is. First of all, how dare you write that on your English teachers in the chat? What? Did you hear that, Christian?
No.
Hang on. As soon as I figure this out, I'll type it in the chat. Oh, freaking A. Now it's like not letting me do anything. Okay, there we go. Wow. Okay, cool.
I love technology.
This technology is pretty cool. What kind of 95 you said? Black 95. I know. Also, I feel like I'd be like, oh, a sneaker.
I got new shoes over the weekend. I just got new Converse, but they're really fresh right now.
Classic.
I don't want to wear them.
What color?
I actually got 3. I got a black pair, a white pair, and a red pair.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they had a crazy sale going on at the. Oh.
Okay, are you seeing that? Did you guys just see that? What's happening? I'm not touching anything. Is this haunted? I don't understand. You guys just saw it move, right?
Yep.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone.
I'm freaked out.
I like how everyone can talk about getting new shoes, but it takes me like to special order shoes because there's never in my size. Like, oh, I just got new shoes this weekend. Yeah, mine coming next weekend.
Freaking me out. The other day, the power flickered off at school for just a minute or so, and when the power goes out, all of the like big double doors downstairs close, and so Miss Carlson and I were just in the hall chatting, and all of a sudden, like all the doors slammed. Like, it was almost like a Scooby-Doo moment. Like I almost jumped into her arms. I was like, ah! It was so scary. And Mr. Nykerk was just like, it's literally just because of the power. I don't know what you're making a big deal about. Oh, let's see. Another thing. Nice. You're the first one to submit. That's fine. You can say a lot in a few words sometimes. I'll give you guys like 3 or 4 more minutes. Yeah. For what? Oh, really? I didn't expect that either. That's wild. And also, like, some people in marching band have like instruments that you blow on, right? That's not okay. Just drums. Okay. Okay, well, that's at least a little bit better. Still, like, you can wear your mask a little bit in that, but still, that's like close contact and just a little. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I don't blame you.
This COVID virus reminds me of the Maze Runner a lot.
Yeah, I actually never read or saw the Maze Runner. I know, for being an English teacher, it's terrible, but I never did.
You should watch it. It's kind of creepy.
Okay, well, I like creepy things. I like creepy movies.
And it's creepy about how much like COVID, well, not like COVID, but you know what I mean.
It's like the situation and
The situation right now.
The Maze Runner is amazing.
No pun intended, right?
Definitely not.
You know, my English teacher, my senior year of high school, if you made an intentional pun, you had to if you made an intentional pun, he had a big gong in his room and he would bang the gong for you. But if you made an unintentional pun, you had to pay him $5. And he also made you pay 50 cents for every time you used the word great, because he felt like that was really overused and people don't use it correctly anymore. And so anytime he would try to like trick kids into saying it, and he took all the money at the end of the year and like donated it to charity or something.
That's really great of him.
Right? All right, are we getting finished up? Checking to see who's we have. Come on, guys, come on. The people who have already submitted are bored now.
What are we doing?
Writing notes to counselors
Why do we need to write a note to council?
because it's Counselor Appreciation Week, or it was last week, and we've
Oh yeah, okay.
so it's on Canvas. The assignment is on Canvas. It's you do not have to take long to do this, like a sentence or two. Stop typing my name, please. I feel like that's harsh. Like, I don't even want my name in your fingers. Did I change? Make sure I changed you guys' attendance who were late. Good thing I checked. That noise. Let's see. Okay.
When the counselor receives these, is it going to have our name attached to it, or is it just going to be an anonymous message?
Which do you prefer?
An anonymous message.
Okay. Because I'm going to collect these and print them. So.
Well, I can't be the only one with my name taken away from the document because that's a little easy to figure out.
Although I guess the only way, like the only reason to really make it anonymous would be if you like were actually being mean in your note and like didn't want them to know it was you.
It's not that I have something mean to say, it's that I just have like the most neutral feelings about the guidance counselors, which I mean, I guess is maybe a good thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't hate them, that's good.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's not a good feeling or a bad feeling. It's just like, oh yeah, that's a person.
I'm sure some of you guys have like personal things to say, like thanks for helping me with this particular thing. Thanks for that time you did this thing for me. But I also expect plenty of you will be like, thanks for everything you do. You're a really valued member of the Allegro community, that kind of thing.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, totally fine. It'd be really funny if yours is just like, dear Miss Kokel, you are a person. You work at my school. Thank you. Bye.
I'm gonna do that.
It would be like the Office. It is your birthday.
Exactly. Which I think is a very appropriate banner for people who are not like in love with their birthdays or like don't want to make a big deal out of it. It doesn't need to be happy. It's a birthday. It is my birthday. Nate's birthday is Wednesday.
Woo-hoo.
Gonna be an adult.
You gonna be 18?
You were supposed to say that.
Congratulations on getting old.
Yep, y'all have made it. It's tough. It's tough to survive your teens. 20s are fun, but by the time you get to like 29, you're like, is this over yet? Can I just get into my 30s?
Nah, teens are totally the easiest times of your life. So many changes.
I mean, to be honest, in hindsight, teen years are pretty easy unless you have like really major like things with your family or like any like really serious personal issues. Just like the way you live typically is really easy being a teenager because you don't have to do very much for yourself.
Well,
that's not to say that no one does anything for themselves, but like you have such a safety net as a teenager and early 20s.
Well, that's kind of the magic of like turning into an adult. Like, you know, middle school is the hardest thing you've ever experienced because you've experienced like 4 things.
Yeah, that's
you know, and then high school is also, you know, the worst thing you've ever experienced because now you've experienced 8 things.
Yes.
You know.
That's a very good point. Once you experience lots of things, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, life gets progressively more difficult, I think, until you're like, you know, in your 40s, and then it's incredibly boring, and then you retire, and that's kind of fun, and then you die.
Yes, you know what you're doing, and yeah, I think you're right. 40 to 50, you're solid because you're still like, you're not getting old and decrepit yet. Like your body's not crapping out on you yet, but you know how
40 to 50 is when you act bitter at the youth for being younger than you.
That's very true. And part of me is excited to get to that point because I kind of want to be like, you rotten kids. But but for right now, I'm like, you wonderful. No, I don't say you wonderful teenagers. I'm just kidding. But you know, I'm like, I want to help you be a better adult and maybe not suck at it as much as some of my contemporaries do.
But yeah, it gets progressively more difficult. So it's always pretty challenging, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's not always fun in games. Sometimes it's fun in games. There's a lot of good stuff to being an adult, but it's, you know, you're doing it all on your own. All right. Hopefully we have, okay, I've got 5 submitted. I have this set to close at, oh, I meant to do it at 3:30 or 3 o'clock. Do it 3 p.m.
What's the Canvas page login thing again? It says I can't enter it.
Hang on. I'm gonna type it in the chat. I think I am. Unless I press every wrong button. UPSD schools dot, is it .com or .org? Oh, .instructor.com. Is that right? Why can't I remember that for like 5 seconds? Yes. Okay. I just messaged it to you, Eli.
Thank you.
Okay, so you guys finish that up. We don't have very much time to read today, but I want to go ahead and start chapter 1 of Frankenstein. And in the modules, it's going to stay in last week's module. The easier way to find it might be to go to the files, maybe, in which case.
We're just looking at the Frankenstein PDF.
Yes. Frankenstein.pdf. And we got through the whole, all the letters. So now we're starting chapter 1, which is Victor's story. So I will share my screen with you guys. You can also just do it on your.
Can we briefly recap the letters? Can we get like a?
Yes, we absolutely can. So in the letters, Captain Robert Walton is sailing to the Arctic hoping to chart some new land. And he's really obsessed with the idea of making this happen and like making a name for himself in history. His drive and ambition is really big. He wants to accomplish this huge thing. The one thing that he's kind of like, oh, this sucks, is that he doesn't have a friend. He's writing all these letters to his sister. He's like, I just wish I had somebody to like talk to about my day that would understand what I'm going through and kind of make it make it easier. It's always easier if you have somebody to go to at the end of the day and like talk about your failures and successes with. That's why we as people need companionship, and Captain Robert Walton is no exception. So he, first of all, they see this like 8-foot tall savage looking creature pulling a dog sled, but it's really far away and they don't know what it is. And then they find this man who turns out to be Victor on another sled, and he is saying all this mysterious stuff really about how like he has this mission or like this goal, and he has to find this person. He's like looking for a person, and they're like, oh, I think I might have seen the person you're looking for, because he was also on a dog sled. And all but one of his dogs had died. That part made me sad. And so they're talking at the end of the last letter about their ambition, and Victor is like, oh, I see some of the same, he calls it madness, some of the same madness in you that I have. You have this drive to do something that makes a lasting impression on history, but I want you to listen to my story and see if you can learn anything from it, because I have also been through this thing where I'm trying to, put my name down in history essentially, and it didn't go well for me, so I want you to kind of learn from my mistakes. And that's where we left off. So he's like writing all these letters to his sister, and presumably this whole book is letters. I feel like it is hot as a potato pot in here. Do y'all think it's hot? Well, like that heat is on. It's so hot. Okay. Anybody want to read? What does it say?
No.
You can't control it either. It's controlled in Colombia. Like, if I want to change my temperature, I'd have to call Colombia, and it just goes like the heat comes on automatically if it's a certain number of degrees outside. So it sucks. Anyway, let's read a little bit. The first quite a few chapters are really short, so that's nice. We'll get through like 2 or 3 this week. Okay. I am by birth and by the way, this is Victor Frankenstein talking now. This is a frame narrative. And he says he is a Genovese, which means he is from Geneva in Switzerland. Just clear that up. I am by birth a Genovese, and my family is one of the most distinguished of that republic. My ancestors have been for many years counselors and syndics, and my father had filled several public situations with honor and reputation. He was respected by all who knew him for his integrity and indefatigable, we had that word, attention to public business. He passed his younger days perpetually occupied by the affairs of his country. A variety of circumstances had prevented his marrying early, nor was it until the decline of life that he became a husband and the father of a family. A lot of family background here. As the circumstances of his marriage illustrate his character, I cannot refrain from relating them. One of his most intimate friends was a merchant who, from a flourishing state, fell through numerous mischances into poverty. This is important. This will come back up. This man, whose name was Beaufort, they probably said Beaufort, to be honest, was of a proud and unbending disposition. It could not bear to live in poverty and oblivion in the same country where he had formerly been distinguished for his rank. Or try to. I don't know if that is. Oh, there we go. Okay. Having paid his debts, therefore, in the most honorable manner, he retreated with his daughter to the town of Lucerne, where he lived unknown and in wretchedness. My father loved Beaufort, I'm going to say Beaufort, with the truest friendship, and was deeply grieved by his retreat in these unfortunate circumstances. He bitterly deplored the false pride which led his friend to a conduct so little worthy of the affection that united them. He lost no time in endeavoring to seek him out with the hope of persuading him to begin the world again through his credit and assistance. Buford had taken effectual measures to conceal himself, and it was 10 months before my father discovered his abode. Overjoyed at this discovery, he hastened to the house, which was situated in a mean street near the Rus. But when he entered, misery and despair alone welcomed him. Buford had saved but a very small sum of money from the wreck of his fortunes, but it was sufficient to provide him with sustenance for some months. In the meantime, he hoped to procure some respectable employment in a merchant's house. The interval was consequently spent in inaction. His grief only became more deep and rankling when he had leisure for reflection. And at length it took so fast hold of its mind that at the end of 3 months, he lay on a bed of sickness, incapable of any exertion. His daughter attended him with the greatest tenderness, but she saw with despair that their little fund was rapidly decreasing, and that there was no other prospect of support. But Caroline Beaufort possessed a mind of an uncommon mold, and her courage rose to support her in her adversity. She procured plain work, she plaited straw, and by various means contrived to earn a pittance scarcely sufficient to support life. This is all important, I promise. Victor's dad has this friend, Buford, who basically is like down on his luck and sick. And he also has this wife, Caroline, who's trying to support him, but they're having a very difficult time. And because he loves this guy like a brother, he really wants to help. Several months passed in this manner. Her father grew worse. Her time was more entirely occupied in attending him. Sorry, hang on. Yeah, sorry, not his wife, his daughter. Her time was more entirely occupied in attending him. Her means of subsistence decreased, and in the 10th month, her father died in her arms, leaving her an orphan and a beggar. This last blow overcame her, and she knelt by Beaufort's coffin, weeping bitterly, when my father entered the chamber. He came like a protecting spirit to the poor girl, who committed herself to his care, and after the interment of his friend, he conducted her to Geneva and placed her under the protection of a relation. 2 years after this event, Caroline became his wife. There was a considerable difference between the ages of my parents, but this circumstance seemed to unite them only closer in bonds of devoted affection. There was a sense of justice in my father's upright mind, which rendered it necessary that he should approve highly to love strongly. Perhaps during former years he had suffered from the late discovered unworthiness of one beloved, and so was disposed to set a greater value on tried worth. There was a show of gratitude and worship in his attachment to my mother, differing wholly from the doting fondness of age, for it was inspired by reverence for her virtues and a desire to be the means of, in some degree, recompensing her for the sorrows she had endured, but which gave inexpressible grace to his behavior to her. So Victor is basically telling us the story of how his parents met and got together. His dad is a lot older than his mom, but she was the daughter of his best friend. And like as his best friend was dying, they kind of like bonded a little bit. And maybe it wasn't like romantic at first, but you know, during like with a circumstance like that, you're just really drawn closer to each other. So there is this huge age difference, but he said that kind of like it just really worked for them because he like lavished so much attention on her. Everything was made to yield to her wishes and her convenience. He strove to shelter her as a fair exotic is sheltered by the gardener from every rougher wind, and to surround her with all that could tend to excite pleasurable emotion in her soft and benevolent mind. Her health and even the tranquility of her hitherto constant spirit had been shaken by what she'd gone through. During the 2 years that had elapsed previous to their marriage, my father had gradually relinquished all his public functions, and immediately after their union, they sought the pleasant climate of Italy and the change of scene and interest attendant on a tour through the land of wonders as a restorative for her weakened frame. Hang on one second, I want to see like how long this chapter actually is. Maybe if I read quick. No, I don't think we'll get through it. From Italy, they visited Germany and France. I, their eldest child, was born in Naples and as an infant accompanied them in their rambles. I remained for several years their only child. Much as they were attached to each other, they seemed to draw inexhaustible stores of affection from a very mine of love to bestow them upon me. My mother's tender caresses and my father's smile of benevolent pleasure while regarding me are my first recollections. I was their plaything and their idol, and something better, their child, the innocent and helpless creature bestowed on them by heaven, whom to bring up to good, and whose future lot it was in their hands to direct to happiness, fulfilled their duties towards me. with this deep consciousness of what they owed towards the being to which they had given life, added to the active spirit of tenderness that animated both. It may be imagined that while during every hour of my infant life, I received a lesson of patience, of charity, and of self-control. I was so guided by a silken cord that all seemed but one train of enjoyment to me. And one thing that you guys might be able to make a connection on here is before we started reading, we did the like four corners ish thing where I just like gave you guys some statements and you decide if you agreed or disagreed. And there were several about parenting and like about whether parents love their kids unconditionally or like what a parent's duty is to their child. And you can kind of see here, he had a really happy childhood and he had parents who really like spoiled him. If anything, they just like, he was their reason for living. But we also know from some of the stuff we looked at that this theme or like the subject of childbirth is gonna be sort of like a big thing in this and like stress around the idea of childbirth. So it's kind of interesting they start off with this really lovely relationship between parents and kids. So I think I'm actually going to stop there because we're about to meet another character who's very important and I'd rather just do that tomorrow. So if you guys have not submitted your letters for the counselors, please do that so that we can show them some appreciation. And again, even if it only says like, thanks for everything you do, you're a very important part of our school family. What? What's my email? Just submit it on Canvas. I'm going to print them all out. Yeah. We're doing like we're putting together like some kind of gift basket for them. So that's going to be part of it. Okay. Any questions before we leave, either about Frankenstein or about the new policies or about your senior capstone, if there's anything I can answer about that?
What's a question?
That's a very meta thing to ask.
No problem.
All right. Well, I will see you guys tomorrow then.